Hello, hello. Jason Ryer here from Chiang Mai, Thailand. Cloudy day here. It's actually beautiful, not too hot. I'm coming to you to share a bit more about the Fasting for Weight Loss course. So it's coming up starting on Sunday, January 10th. We're actually closing the door for sales very shortly. And around that, I wanted to answer a question that comes up for a lot of different people. For a lot of people during the course, especially, they get into fasting, they do intermittent fasting, they'll fall into a rhythm that works for them. But then they have the question of, well, when I'm not fasting, when I am eating, what do I eat? And so this is a question that comes up is like, well, what's going to serve me and what's going to help me get closer to my weight loss goals? So certainly fasting will help you do that. But when you do eat, well, what's going to help? And so this is something that we actually dive into in the Fasting for Weight Loss course. And this is one of the guides that I give and I offer. And so yeah, I'll tell you more about the Fasting for Weight Loss course. But in terms of what to eat, there's so much information about what is healthy, what's not healthy, what's a clean diet, what's a dirty diet. There are a lot of studies around like what's good, what's bad. And so what I fall back on as a Bulletproof certified coach, as a human potential coach, is the Bulletproof diet. So there it is. So I'm actually wearing the shirt, Bulletproof, wearing the hat, Bulletproof. So this is in my mind, it's one of the best guides, simple guides. And we have, if you don't have their diet roadmap, definitely go online and download it. Or better yet, join our course. We'll offer it as a freebie and you can use that as a guide. And so yeah, why is this a good guide? Why is this a good guide and why follow Bulletproof? Well, I'll tell you about my experience and my journey with health. I used to be on what is called a seafood diet. I see it, I eat it, anything and everything. And so I used to think that, I had to eat everything to keep my metabolism up, to build muscle, to build strength. And it turned out I was overeating. And we talked about with some other fasting pros, like being skinny fat. And I'm not sure that I was skinny fat, but I was certainly experiencing some health issues from some of the foods I was eating. And I didn't know what to do. I had these crazy like heart palpitations. I'm like, what's going on? Am I having a heart attack? This isn't right. Like I exercise, I'm healthy. But then I thought, well, okay, I'm eating like all this stuff and some of it might not be good for me. So I tried going to doctors. I couldn't find a doctor, navigating the health system. Like I've never had like a doctor. And this is standard advice that drives me crazy. Is like if I go search on the internet about a health issue, they say, well, talk to your doctor. I'm like, well, I don't have a doctor. And trying to find a doctor is not so easy. The ones that I wanted to go to had a wait list of like months. I'm like, well, I feel like I might be having a heart attack. Why am I gonna wait months to go see a doctor? So anyway, long story short, I happened to watch a documentary called Forks Over Knives, espousing the benefits of a plant-based diet, that is a vegan diet. And it made sense at the time. I was like, wow, okay, that makes sense. That's gonna help me get healthy. It has all these health benefits, and it talked about all the problems with eating meat. And I was like, okay, so I did away with meat for the most part for about 2 years. And it actually did help. I think it helped clear up some of these heart palpitations and whatnot. And I felt better. And after 2 years, I had a blood test done, and I was concerned about my own health. Just looking at family history with my dad, who's had some of his own health issues around high blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart attacks, type 2 diabetes. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'm susceptible to some of those things. So after 2 years on a vegan-ish diet, I did eat meat every once in a while. I didn't completely abstain, but I got tested, and the good news is that everything looked really, really good for the most part, except for a couple of things. The major one was that my estrogen was elevated. And I think that kind of made sense, like knowing what I know from plant-based diet, like high in soy, a lot of canned foods with these estrogen mimicking compounds. So we have phytoestrogens in soy, we have xenoestrogens from the canned goods. So yeah, it kind of made sense. And at the time, I was experiencing, low libido, low energy, and so I was like, okay, something could be done to help fix that. And coincidentally, I was part of this men's group, and a guy recommended following the Bulletproof Executive. So Dave Asprey, the founder of Bulletproof, has a podcast. And so years ago, I started listening to it, and it made sense. And it made so much sense, in fact, that I became certified as a Bulletproof coach. I started following the Bulletproof diet. So it really gets into the nuances of food, and that's where it made sense. It's like, it's not just eat meat, eat vegetables. It's like, well, think about where your food comes from, right? And what's the quality of the source? So if you're eating meat, what does that animal eat? And what's the soil that plant is grown on, that you're eating, or the animal that you're eating eats, if that makes sense. So yeah, really thinking about it, and then taking it a step further into how is the food processed. And this is where a lot of people go wrong with falsely accusing meat of being bad, is that, well, sure, if you're eating like hot dogs and sausages and this highly processed meat, then sure, you're going to have some problems. And a lot of these studies will say, well, meat is bad, but think about what people are eating with the meat. And a lot of these are associations that people make. And so this is the problem with a lot of the studies, is that, especially where they say like meat is bad specifically, is that they're making correlations. And so a lot of people who eat a lot of meats tend to live unhealthy lives. So maybe they're smoking a lot, they're drinking a lot of alcohol, for example. Whereas on the flip side of that, people who are plant-based, vegan, vegetarian, they tend to be more health conscious. So they're drinking less alcohol, they're smoking less. So of course they're going to be healthy. But this is a correlation, not causation. So they're not healthy because of the plant-based diet necessarily. And people who are unhealthy, it's not because of the meat necessarily. So I hope that makes sense. Anyway, Bulletproof, what is the Bulletproof diet? So it is a formulation from something that Dave Asprey came up with years ago. In his journey on health, he tried a bunch of different diets. He tried, I think, like vegan, raw vegan. He tried paleo, and I think that's where he actually started seeing some benefits with paleo. And then he kind of combined the paleo with a low carb approach, like a ketogenic approach. And that's where Bulletproof is that it's not fully a keto diet, but it's not necessarily exactly a paleo diet either. It's more science-based on scientifically what actually works to help our bodies, to clean up, to lose weight, and detox. So it's basically avoiding the bad things and focusing on the good things in the diet. So all that to say, yes, what you eat still matters. Fasting is important, fasting is effective, and what you eat, what you put in your body still does make a difference. Now that, I mean, I can point to cases where my students, we track during the fasting course, we track what we eat, when we eat, and I had students eating like Oreo cookies and McDonald's and sodas, and still losing weight and still seeing like their blood pressure go down and seeing a lot of benefits. But I'm like, well, how much further could you take that if you actually had a healthy diet on top of the fasting? So that's kind of where we're at with the diet. So it does help to eat healthy foods and find a diet that works for you. So I'm going to end there with that question. So the Fasting for Weight Loss course starts on January 10th. We go for 28 days with a group of your peers, a group of students, where you get to share what you eat, when you eat. You take all the lessons, watch the videos, you get the knowledge, and we have live video calls once a week. You get points for doing the work. So when you actually do these assignments, you get points for a fun, friendly competition, and there are prizes at the end. So if this is the time for you, I know I've gone off the rails a little bit with Thanksgiving and then Christmas and New Year's, and so now is the time, really good time, I think, to clean up the body, detox, and get on track to not just achieve the weight loss goals, but to maintain and sustain them for the long term. So if that sounds interesting to you, check it out at zenstrength.fitness/fasting-program. zenstrength.fitness/fasting-program. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Check out the program. Hope you guys are doing well. Have a good night. This is actually the last day to join. So if you're interested, now's the time.